So because this car has all-wheel drive, technically, it's not a Subaru, we brought it to the top of this mountain to see how it does. So when this car first came out, it had a 169 horsepower Wheezy 2-liter naturally aspirated engine from the Toyota Corolla. Problem was, it's 250 pounds heavier than that car, so it was painfully slow. Add 3 electric motors, though, to that 2-liter engine, and you've got the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. So the gasoline-only Corolla Cross has a large grille that looks kind of like a catfish's mouth, whereas this one sports a much nicer grille that kind of reminds me of the Lexus RX. Toyota's also blacked out some of the trim pieces along here and these mirrors to make it quite a handsome, rugged-looking small SUV. So Toyota is positioning this car as a sportier alternative to the gas model, and it is definitely quicker than that car. There's 3 trims available, or rather 4, S, SE, and XSE, and then this one, which sits below the XSE, is the Nightshade trim. So Toyota's also given the suspension some unique tuning elements. A lot of that is to take care of the additional weight of the battery and other electrical components. You get McPherson struts at the front, you get a double wishbone suspension at the rear, you've got stabilizers on both axles as well to give a more sport-tuned suspension. And I'll tell you, it actually works. So both the Nightshade Edition and the XSE both get 18-inch wheels. On this Nightshade Edition, they are black painted, which makes sense given the name. It's wearing these 225 55s. They're Goodyears. I really like them. Usually Toyota puts Bridgestones on their vehicles, so I'm very happy that these are not those tires. Toyota's also given this car more ground clearance. It's actually got 8.1 inches of ground clearance, which isn't too bad. So the rear hatch is manual, which reveals around 22 cubic feet of space behind the rear seats. Put those down, got around 62 and change. You get a little luggage cover as well, and then this rubberized mat, and then underneath here there is no spare wheel. So under the hood is a naturally aspirated 2-liter engine. It's good for 150 horsepower, 139 foot-pounds of torque. It is augmented by electric motors. They'll give you around 152 foot-pounds of torque, but Toyota does not tell us what the horsepower is. But using some fuzzy math, the total output is 196 horsepower, which is pretty much the same as the Prius setup. Driven through a CVT transmission, not my favorite. 0 to 60 takes around 7.5 seconds, which is about 2 seconds quicker than the gas-only vehicle. On the highway, tread lightly, you'll get around 42 miles to the gallon. The gas only, you'll get around 30. So how much is it? Well, the base price for this Nightshade trim is $30,476, but it's got some options. It's got the moonroof, which is almost $1,000, and I wouldn't have it. It's also got the really good JBL audio system. That's another $800. The cargo liner is $256. This rear bumper protector is $89. It also has door sill protectors for $187 more or less. That takes the outdoor price, including destination, to $34,800. Well, you're certainly missing a few creature comforts in the back. There is no armrest with cup holders, although you do get one in the door for each side, and you also get some vents. Seats are moderately comfortable, a little firm, decent leg room, and then the headroom's not too bad. It's sort of sculpted out here. So if you're familiar with a Toyota Corolla, it's very Corolla-like in here. Despite this sort of quite rough material, it's going to be hard wearing, obviously. It's got good bolstering. These seats are actually decently comfortable. Now, they are manually controlled. There's no electric motors for this. For the most part, most of these materials are fairly hard, scratchy plastics, below the knee, above the knee, in most places, actually. But it's not an expensive car, so I kind of expect that. So all models get this 8-inch infotainment display running the latest version of Toyota's software. You get standard wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And if you're used to some of the super large screens that you get these days, this is going to seem really, really small. Below that, you've got actual buttons for your temperature controls. It isn't a dual system, so the passenger and you have to agree on a temperature. Further down here, you get a nice little wireless charger, which sort of goes all the way through. Here you get your EV mode button if there's sufficient battery available, and then drive modes. So drive modes are sport, normal, and eco. 2 cup holders, and a little bit of space in the armrest. And you also get these Corolla Cross rubber mats as well, which is kind of nice if you go off-road, as I am, especially if it's muddy. The dash is not particularly exciting, but you do get the information that you need. I'm averaging 36.1 miles to the gallon. That is probably a world record for me. Distance to empty, time and temperature outside, tachometer on the left, speedo on the right. All in all, it serves a pretty decent purpose. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, we are already off-road, but I feel like I should test this on my sort of basic technical hill. I think it's got the clearance. I think it's got clearance at the front. Don't wanna break the front. I think it's fine at the back. The approach angle is a little bit bigger than at the front, 16 versus 22, but we will see how it goes. Right, I don't have any off-road modes, nothing. I got drive mode, sport, normal, and eco, so let's put it in normal. I don't really need sport, and let's go. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this all-wheel drive, it's got badges on both sides of the rear doors. It says it's all-wheel drive, so let's see if it can cope with our basic hill. It's nice sort of going back down this this mountain in completely EV mode, which is nice, because the engine, when it kicks in, is slightly noisy, a bit buzzy, but the additional power is definitely welcomed. It rides kind of firm. It's honestly not really meant for off-roading, but just like I did with the Toyota Crown, if it's got all-wheel drive, it's going off-road. And it's pretty quiet inside, especially when the motor doesn't kick in. So the good news is we're regenning the battery while we're going down here. And the seats aren't bad, although I imagine they're going to get quite hot in the summer. There's no cooled seats, and I'll just double check, but there are no heated seats either. I'm assuming you'd have to splurge for the top XSE trim to get heated seats. But it feels pretty composed on this sort of gravelly off-road bit. Slow down, there's some rocks here. I'm happy with these Goodyears, I must say. On the drive here, let's see what the turning circle's like. It's quite a tight turn. Oh yeah, got around there with ease. All right, so here we are at this little spot here. All right, so we're going to ease up here quite slowly and see which wheel gets traction once they start to slip. About halfway here, and the front passenger is already losing traction. Looks like the rear passenger side is losing traction as well. Not working particularly well, but we're almost there. Come on, little Toyota. More power, drop back a bit. The wheels are just spinning. No. Maybe one more go. I think I'm just going to call it as a fail, unfortunately. Well, it definitely wasn't going to go up that hill unless I'd charged at it like a bull in a china shop, and I would have probably damaged the vehicle, which is not what I wanted to do. So as I thought, not all all-wheel drive systems are the same. This one's good for these sort of gravelly roads and trails and stuff like that. Probably okay if you're driving it in rain or snow, but don't try and go up a little technical hill like that. All right, let's zoom back along here. We will drive it on some regular paved roads. It'll be probably fairly relieved that I'm on my way to a paved road. Not that it's bad on these roads, but hey. So while I was going up the hill, you could feel that front wheel was slipping like crazy. And normally it's the rear driver's side that slips, but that one wasn't getting any grip. Yeah, it was having a hard time. The CVT is kind of annoying though. It doesn't even attempt to simulate shifts. I wish it had that sort of feature. All right, hard right. Yeah, it's pretty composed along here. This stuff down on this particular trail now, it went from sort of gravel to almost like moon dust, super soft. All right, activating sport mode. Let's try on-road here. Oh, that's not too bad. So you can hear that slightly noisy 2.0. But it's definitely got some zip with the electric motor help. And handling-wise, it is a lot better than the regular car. Assuming the battery sits pretty low down, helps with the weight lower down, lower center of gravity. But it's not sport mode really, in the type of sport mode scenario that you would imagine. But it is actually entertaining. If they could make the engine not make that noise as loud, it would be a little bit more pleasant. But this is good. Steering's about the right weight. And we are flying in a Toyota Corolla Cross. See, that's where I'd like it to simulate gears, because it just makes more noise. There's no feeling of any gears actually changing. All right, so 40 miles an hour here. 40 miles an hour, stomp on it. It's got a pretty decent shove. But it just let go. So 6,000 RPM and it's still winding up. And then finally it lets go and drops down to like 4,500. But it's not bad. It's powering up this hill. I honestly don't know why anybody would buy the gas one. I mean, I'm still averaging 36.1 miles to the gallon driving like this. It's nuts. Now, obviously you have to be careful. I mean, if you drive like this all the time, that's probably going to drop. The very tiny fuel tank, it's about the size of a thimble, or in real terms 10.6 gallons, which isn't really very big these days, but a lot of these hybrids have smaller gas tanks. But at this rate, I won't be filling up very often. In fact, since I've had the car, let's see, the needles move slightly, but not a whole lot. Yeah, I did notice that under the hood there's no sound deadening. I mean, that would be a simple fix to cut down some of the noise and harshness of this engine. So all in all though, this is a good little car. It's a cheap little car, $34,000. Get a nice little SUV with plenty of power. So what do we think? Well, as a better driving, more fuel efficient alternative to the gas model, I think this is definitely worth the extra dollars. And with that additional horsepower and the extra torque from those electric motors, it does actually put a grin on your face when you mash it from a stoplight. Once again, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time with another video. Out.